Okay, if you watched the second Reaper video, you'll have seen that what I did was go through and actually start mapping out the structure of the video so that I could then use that to plan my soundtrack. And so I just want to show you exactly that same process in Sibelius, because it's a great way to get started when you're working with film. You're going to need to watch the clip that you're setting a whole bunch of times so you really get to know it. And the more you watch it and the more you work with it and make notes on its structure, then the easier it will be to write music for it. So in Reaper, we talked about markers or project markers, and I also referred to them as hit points. And in Sibelius, you can see under the play tab here, we've got a button called hit point. However, before we can actually even watch all of our video in Sibelius, if I just go to the last bar here and play from there, there's no music in yet, so we're just playing the score. You'll see that actually it stops. The video stops before it's finished, if that makes sense. It stops before it's finished. It finishes before it's finished. No. Anyway, you see what I mean? As in, there's more video to be shown. But because the score's finished, Sibelius stops playing, and therefore the video stops. So before we go and add any hit points or do anything else, we need to go into the Home tab and click on the little drop down underneath Add and say Add Multiple or Irregular Bars. And I'm just going to choose, say, 500 bars, which is probably too many, but, you know, that's not a problem. And now let's see if I go all the way and play from here. Yeah, video's still going. Let's go all the way and play from here.
Maintain speed.
Yeah, video's still going. All right, so we've got plenty of bars now, and we can actually set that whole video. Okay, so I think I'll just for consistency between all of the tutorial videos, I'm going to go back to the start and add in the same hit points that I did in the Reaper tutorial videos as well. So I'm just going to press play. And we can watch the action. Will this let me make this video bigger? It would be good to have that window a little bit bigger. Come on, Sibelius, behave yourself. There's the... No, it's not going to be any good. All right, let's just do this. Okay, so here we go.
Verified. Enable semi-automatic control. Disable safety features. Maximum speed. Go.
What's happening to him?
I think he's switching genres.
Okay, so pretty much just the first 35 seconds of the clip, and I've already watched it several times, so I've decided where I want my hit points to go in this particular area. So hit points are structural points in the film that we can create our soundtrack to match, to heighten the emotion, etc., etc. But sometimes they can just be, you know, you don't necessarily have to have them all about where the music's going to go. They can just help you find your way around the movie. So anyway, in this case, I think these are all probably quite useful to have interesting things happen in our music. So let's just have I'm just going to press play and find the point where the gunshot happens. So in Sibelius, there are some nice shortcuts for getting quickly around our music. I've actually just noticed today that the shortcuts have changed a little bit. So in the old days, fast forward and rewind were the square brackets. Have a look for those on your computer keyboard, just above the return key on my Mac, maybe the enter key on your Windows computer. Now the square brackets on their own, so the left square bracket takes the playback line, the green playback line, back to the start of the score. The right square bracket takes you to the end of the score. So kind of similar to Command and Home and Command and End as far as view goes, but this is for the playback line. Then on top of that, we can use a couple of other shortcuts. So if I hold down the Command button, sorry, not the Command button, the Option button or Alt button, and use those square brackets, that's my fast forward and my rewind now. I've had to find that a little bit by trial and error today. But even more importantly than that, when we want to find the exact point, looking at the video there, if we want to find the exact point where that bullet sound happens so that I can score to that bullet sound, then we can actually hold down the Shift key rather than the Alt key or the Option key. And that will move us one frame by frame. So we can get very, very exactly to the point. I think the bullet happens more or less on the cut between those two angles. So I can add a hit point just at that point when the bullet, the gunfire happens and that man jumps. Okay, so to add the hit point, having found that point, the green playback line is on that point, I can now go to my hit points menu and I can simply press the top half of that button. Now when I press it, it looks like nothing actually happens, but that's just because I am using the film score template that I described to you before, and the film score template, as well as having this lovely time code here on the middle staff between the percussion and the harp, that's where it puts its hit points as well, so they're right in the middle of the page. So you can see a hit point that's been added there. It tells us the time code. It also tells us the bar and the beat position, and that last number is the number of ticks, which is just a smaller measurement of time. And it gives it a default name, which is hit 1, which we'll edit in a second. But let's just keep on playing because I want to add a couple more hit points to the action.
Verified. Enable semi-automatic control. Disable safety features. Maximum speed. Go.
All right, so one of the things that I said before that I really liked was the point that she says go. Because at that point we get the squeaking of wheels and more gunfire and the sound of the car speeding up. So if I just go and find that position. By the way, I just used another shortcut here. If you ever want to bring the green playback line to the point that you are editing in Sibelius, just click on whatever the thing that you're editing is and press Y. So if I go and click over here and press Y, it jumps there, and you can see that the frame of the film is automatically in sync at that point, so that's particularly useful. All right, so I want to find the point that she says go, and
Verified. Enable semi-automatic control. Disable safety
Ready.
features. Maximum speed. Go. Go.
so it's going to be a little bit hard to actually find the exact go without the audio because we're just going on her mouth, but it's about there. Okay, so I'm going to, again, hit the hit point button. This time we were looking at the right part of the page so we can see the new hit point added. And then the last one that I want to have is after a little bit more of the chase, I want to, at the point when the guy starts weirding out. So it's about here. And there's a definite change in mood. Not yet. It's coming up. It's coming up. At this point. So yeah, I mean, deep breathing, that's always a sign that something's not right. So let's just go back a little bit and we see, yeah, so she looks up and then she sees that something's wrong. All right, so that's a good place for a hit point. So I might add some stuff's getting weird music there at that point. Okay, so click the hit point and I get hit 03. Okay, the last thing to show you just in this video is how we can edit the name of those hit points so that they're a little bit more memorable than hit 0, 1, 2, and 3. And we can do that by clicking on the drop-down menu underneath the hit point button and choosing Edit Hit Points. And then we can just come into here very simply, click on the hit 01 bit twice or double click it. And then that first one is just called Gunshot, maybe. The second one is Go. And the third one is Weirding Out, when he starts weirding out there. So now when I click OK, those get updated on the screen, and they're really, really easy to remember exactly what's happening in the action at that point. So now we can score to those points, which is pretty cool.